Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Haley if you are new, or welcome back if you have been here before. We talk about all things motherhood, toddlerhood, activities, play, toys, you name it. I'm a big fan of independent play, try to minimize that screen time and doing it in a way that is not stressful and is actually manageable. So if that interests you, make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss a video. All right, and let's get into it. Today we're gonna talk about something that might be a little controversial, and that is school. I would not have thought that school would be such a controversial topic, but it really does feel like in 2025, school is such a heated topic for people. Whether you choose to send your kids to public school or private, there's other types of schools which I did not have experience with growing up, or like I'm just not familiar with. We have magnet schools, charter schools, and then there's homeschooling. There's just so many options out there. It can feel really overwhelming. So I just wanted to have kind of an honest conversation, chit-chat video about school. My daughter just turned 4, and so she is still preschool aged. We are starting to kind of think about kindergarten just because that is about a year away, and a lot of schools do have wait lists and things like that. And like I said, around me there's so many options, and if I'm being honest, I have put this decision off. I know we have time. We have a year to fully make a decision on what next year is going to look like for kindergarten, but it is a lot. And my main hesitation with school for me is a safety thing. I just am really struggling feeling like I can send my kid to a school and really feel safe, just with the way that our world is today. And your opinion is your opinion. I'm just sharing from me as a mom. This is one decision that is really weighing on me, and one that I really just don't know what to do, because I personally just don't feel like any one school at this point feels safe. I don't know that I believe a private school would be safer than a public school or a magnet charter. I don't know. So I'm really going to spend the year kind of figuring that out. And I don't know how to figure that out. And I don't know, I feel like I might be somewhat alone in this feeling. I feel like a lot of people might feel that way, but they're still okay to send their kid to school. And I'm not saying that like you're irresponsible if you do so or anything like that. I'm just sharing that this is one thing in my parenting journey that I'm having a really hard time with. I'm having a really hard time being okay with. So anyway, all of that said, my kids do not go to daycare. If you've been around or you follow me on Instagram, you know that I watch my kiddos at home while I also work full-time. We've had a little bit of help come in here and there. I have my parents nearby, so my dad will come about once a week for a couple of hours, and on and off we've had a babysitter come 2 days a week for a couple hours, things like that. So I'm really excited because summer is almost here, and our babysitter girl who helped us last year is back for the summer, so that's gonna be really nice to have a little bit of help for a few months. So yeah, my kids do not go to daycare, they don't go to preschool. My daughter is 4, and I don't have plans on sending her to preschool. One of the things that we've been doing with our activities is really incorporating learning. We've been doing that since we kind of started. So since she was 3 years old, a lot of our activities that we've been doing have been incorporating counting, early math skills, early reading skills, patterns, fine motor skills, gross motor skills, scissor skills, daily coloring sheets. That's a really big one for us. We're going to start really focusing on holding a pencil correctly, different things like that. We've been doing things like that. We just haven't called it homeschool. We haven't called it preschool, and we haven't been very strict with it. One main thing that I try to tell other people through my guides, and a big thing when I share activities on Instagram, is to not force an activity, because it's supposed to be fun for your kids, and it's supposed to be either a time to bond with them or to get them to independently play, and we don't want to make your child do something that they don't want to do, in my opinion. So that's like my big thing in my guides. But I feel like I've been having a little bit of imposter syndrome with feeling like what I'm doing with her isn't enough, or isn't preschool, or isn't homeschool, and just trying to get out of my head about that. So anyway, fast forward, one of the people that I follow on Instagram that I followed for a really long time, I went ahead and I purchased her preschool homeschool curriculum. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna call this homeschool. We're 4 now. We're gonna do this. We're gonna every morning do a little bit of homeschool and see how it goes. We have not started yet, but I did purchase the curriculum. And again, I kind of had a little bit of imposter syndrome purchasing this, because it felt kind of similar to what we do and what I do. And so it felt kind of weird. It felt kind of like a conflict of interest a little bit, which again is all just in my head. One of the things that I really like about the idea of homeschool is that You can pick different curriculums and use what works for you. You don't need to replicate school or replicate preschool, right? So I'm not trying to replicate the classroom. Obviously, our preschool is not going to be the same as if she were going to preschool. And instead of letting that imposter syndrome sink in with that or feeling like I'm not doing enough, I really need to just use that as the advantage here. You know what I mean? So anyway, so I purchased the Playing Preschool curriculum, and I felt a little bit like this might be similar to what we do because it's very play-based, which is obviously why it drew me to it, because I love play and activities with my kids. We haven't started yet, but I'm going to go over a few things about it and how I'm going to use it and kind of shift it to make it work for us. So a few main things that seem to be the difference between Playing Preschool activities and my own. A lot of my stuff and my guides are very quick prep, mess-free. So we don't do sensory bins. We don't do messy stuff with paint or water. Everything is very, very simple for moms and dads and parents who don't have time, right? It's just really quick and easy stuff. So I'm excited to kind of step out of my box a little bit with activities and things to just kind of get out of my comfort zone, get my kids out of their comfort zones for what they're used to on a day-to-day basis with activities. And another thing is they don't typically do printouts from what I gather. And I love printouts. So again, there are definite differences or, in the type of activities that she does versus that I share with people and create and promote. So again, I guess it is a little bit different, but I'm sure there will be similarities. And if that's the case, cool. Or we can shift things a little bit to make it fit my kids at this time in their life. I basically just felt like I needed a curriculum. I just didn't feel like I was doing enough, and I wanted to just see what her stuff is and see how she plans out her day, because I've never planned out a day. I don't know how people really structure it, and everything is obviously different and very fluid, but I just felt like I wanted to try it out. So a couple things. I'm going to kind of go through the first day and give an example of what she says to do and how I might tweak it to fit more simple activities on days that I'm not feeling like going out of my comfort zone. So Monday, she does an opening. So that's the type of stuff that I wanted to see how we could structure it to feel more like, quote unquote, this is our homeschool time for my daughter. And again, this may not work for my family. Who knows, right? But I just wanted to start getting ideas of how to structure. So she has her morning opening, she does a calendar routine, song and a poem, and she gives you that. And then she introduces a topic. There's some books that she has in there that go along with the topic, some talking points, and then there's always one or two activities. One of them is apple stamping, because the first theme is apples. Obviously that's with paint. I want to try to go as much out of my comfort zone as possible with these, but I could also see myself throwing in other types. It's maybe if the apple stamping feels like it's just too much, especially if I'm doing this during my work hours, maybe I would trace some apples and then use dot paint to color them. That's not totally the same, but just trying to think outside the box here. Quickly off the top of my head, apple sorting by color. Obviously put them into groups based on colors. If I want to go another step above that, maybe we could put them in different baskets or kind of do a relay with it and still sort by colors. A lot of my stuff I feel like lately has been incorporating movement. So maybe putting the apples on one table and then you put them in a basket and then you have to walk on your tiptoes and put it onto the counter and sort it by color. So just little things like that. I feel like I might add in little tweaks. One thing that did make me feel good after having so much imposter syndrome was I quickly glanced at this. I felt like I was hey, this kind of is what I'm doing. This is what I do. We just haven't been so structured about it. So that did make me feel good. I felt hey, okay, I am doing this. I am enough for my kids. Because it's hard to not feel like what we're doing isn't enough. Even though I've created my guides and my activities and I've been so blessed to have been able to share it with so many people on Instagram and now YouTube. I've helped over 300 families at this point through my paid guides, and it's wild. But that imposter syndrome still creeps in. So I just wanted to share that I am starting this journey with Playing Preschool. And again, feels very close to home with everything being play-based. Oh, the other thing, I think I might create some morning menus, which we haven't done quote unquote morning menus. We do morning coloring sheets and we do a lot of learning in a book. I do our letter of the day activities we've been doing. We do a lot of activities on printouts and papers. So I might incorporate some of that kind of in the openings of each day. So maybe introduce a topic, we read out loud, before the activities, maybe add some sheets in. Honestly, maybe even before I introduce the topic. Like maybe we have an opening and then I give some sheets or the morning menu before we introduce the topic as kind of like a lone individual play. I don't know. I am working on a little learner's guide. So my next play guide is really going to be aimed towards learning activities, which again, a lot of my activities do incorporate learning, but this is strictly going to be about learning activities. And I already have an outline of it, but it's definitely not in place yet. But I think all of this just kind of goes to show I'm proud of myself for feeling like I got this and I know what I'm doing. We'll see how it goes when we dive in. So again, if you're interested in seeing how our homeschool preschool goes, make sure you hit subscribe and follow along because I plan on vlogging some. I'll do some check-ins on what's working, what's not working. I'm really excited to see how this, I know it's like a weird time to start school. It's May, but again, we work from home. Our children are here every day. There's no summer break for us, right? We're just going to start school in May and it's going to be what it is. But I'm excited to see how this journey goes. And I think that allowing myself to call this homeschool versus just like, oh yeah, I keep my daughter at home, she's not going to preschool. No, I think I need to be confident in myself to own that, yeah, we are doing preschool and I am enough and you are your children's best teacher. And I do believe that. I do. But of course, when you're saying it, you do feel a little bit of, it's hard not to feel judgment. I guess that's it. I can probably make a video on it about just feeling judgment about your school choices. So stay tuned for more updates on our homeschool preschool, how it's going. If you want more activities, I have some really fun videos coming up. I'll keep sharing free activity ideas. And again, if you're interested in any of my guides, which have between 50 and 60 activities just totally completely planned for you, they are down below. I don't know if anyone has any advice on feeling confident and comfortable sending your children to school. Let me know. I know I have time. I'll update here on how that process is going. We've started to look into schools and reach out, but it just feels like a lot. It feels overwhelming. And again, it's that safety thing that I just can't get over. As always, thank you so much for taking the time to watch. And this is just like a chit chat video, but I am really excited.